welcome back to the Beach Bum Bookworm. I am Tiffany. I'm so glad y'all found me again today. My channel's all about cozy mysteries and romance books, And today I'm here with my January cozy mystery wrap up. I cannot believe we are wrapping up the first month of 2024. Oh my goodness. I read 23 books this month. 23, can you believe that? However, 13 of them were cozies, and then the others were romances. So today on this video, you'll hear about the 13 cozies. I am going to do a separate video of my romance wrap up because, not everybody likes those together. So let's just get into it. I read some great books this month. Excited to tell you about those. I want to hear what you're most excited about. Let's go in 3, 2, 1, go. As always, please remember to hit the like, subscription, notification bell. The like button really helps us in the algorithm. The notification bell tells you when we put out new videos each and every week so you don't miss anything. And the subscription helps the channel, keeps it growing. Can't thank you enough because I'm just having so much fun. I'm so appreciative. Remember, support is absolutely free. It costs nothing to hit any of those 3 buttons, but really helps us out a lot. Okay. Let's jump into them. The first one was the first couple were carryovers from Christmas. Okay. So the first one is Sleigh Bells Ring. Gonna put it right here. I love these covers and I am loving this series. This is number 2. It's the Christmas Cozy series. This is by Mona Marple. I gave the first one 4.5 stars and I gave this one 5 stars. Or did I give the first one 5 stars too? I'm not sure, but either way, I am loving it. I gave this one 5 stars for sure. This was another recommendation from my good friend Cajun, who she has the best knowledge of cozy mysteries, and she really knows your taste because this was spot on for me once I got to reading. Okay, so in this one, we have our main character, Hollywood. She, at the beginning of the first book, had an accident in her car, and she wakes up and she's in the North Pole. And it's everything you would expect it to be. And at first I was like, I don't know about this, but it just works. It just works because it's made to feel like that is what is normal there. So it didn't feel paranormal. Or not that that's paranormal, but it didn't feel odd to me that we were in the North Pole and there was elves and Santa Claus, and because it felt like that's what it should be. We're at the North Pole. I don't know. Just worked for me. And so Holly and Saint Nick, the son, who is going to be taking over as head Santa because his father's getting to the point where he wants to retire, have a little bit of an interest in each other, and so she's kind of stuck around to see how that plays out. Plus she's loving the North Pole. Everybody's happy, everybody's friendly. It's everything again that you would expect for the North Pole to be. So they need a doctor, and that is exactly what Holly is. So she is, at least right now, going to stay. And in this one, we just had Christmas in book 1. So this one is New Year's Eve. So very little time's passed, which I thought was really fun. And they're playing this big New Year's Eve bash from the North Pole. And this grumpy elf named Greasy, who is a diner owner in the North Pole, he has a disco ball fall and crush him. People say it's an accident, and Holly is questioning that. So festive, so good. I am one that will read out a season, but this one is so festive, I feel like I have to wait for Christmas to get the full enjoyment. I cannot wait to get to more of these later in the year. Next up, I read number 4 in the Holiday Junction Cozy Mystery series by Tanya Kappas. It's called New Year Nuisance. This I gave 4 cups of coffee, so it's obviously New Year's, and our main character is Violet Reinhammer, who was a journalist that we met in the Campers and Criminals series, and then she ends up leaving Normal, Kentucky for her big break in California, and she ends up in Holiday Junction. Through circumstances, she decides to stay, and she becomes their newspaper reporter. Well, she is also what the town calls the merrymaker because the town is all about holidays. And as the merrymaker, it's a secret thing, and they do things for the holiday. I can't really describe it. They're like, they decide where, how things are going to happen. But again, it's all in secret. Okay, so there is a person in town named Hillary. She is just kind of the town nuisance. She's always complaining about something. She's always upset about something. She ends up murdered. And Violet's like, oh boy, we're getting ready to have our New Year's festival celebration. We got to figure out what's going on. And that's where we are in this one. Like I said, gave it 4 cups of coffee, enjoying this series a lot. Next up, I read number 2 in the Papa Pacelli's Pizzeria Cozy Mystery series. It was called Bacon Cheddar Murder. This is by Patty Benning. I gave this 3 cups of coffee. I thought that the theme of this was really intense. So our main character is Eleonora, and she didn't have much of a relationship with her grandparents. It was like one of those things that this was her dad's parents, and her parents divorced very early on, and she didn't have a lot of relationship with her dad or his family. And so now she wants to, get to know her grandparents. Well, unfortunately, her grandfather has passed away, but she is developing quite a awesome relationship with her grandmother. Her grandfather that passed away left her his pizzeria. So she is managing that. This takes place in Maine. And in this one, her best friend comes in the middle of the night, and she's got blood on her, and she's scared. And she's like, there's a body in the woods. There's a body in the woods. And they go, and Eleanor's like, what are you talking about? Calm down. Tell me what's going on. And when they get there, there's no body. The body is gone. And so people are trying to figure out what even happened. Is there a body at all? Are they dead? And that's where the story takes off. It is really quite intense for a cozy mystery. Gave it 3 stars. Definitely will continue. I was just really surprised at that. Next up, I read number 3 in the Lakeside Library Cozy Mystery series called Read to Death at the Lakeside Library. This is by Holly Danvers. I gave this 4 cups of coffee. I think what I wrote on here was 3, but I need to change it if that's the case because I really enjoyed this one. So this features Rain, and Rain has turned her little cabin that's at a lakeside in Wisconsin, Lofty Pines, Wisconsin, into a library for everybody that lives there, which I think is amazing. So she starts a book club at this library, and the first book that they're reading is an Agatha Christie classic mystery novel, and one of the book club members ends up dead, and it looks like it's inspired by the book they just read. I thought that was a really cool twist. I really, really enjoyed that. Next up, I read the second book in the Charlotte Gibson Cozy Mystery series, Maui Murder. This is by Jasmine Webb. I am loving this series, y'all. I give 5 cups of coffee. So our main character, Charlotte, she in the first book was working at a jewelry store, and this guy comes in to rob it, and she essentially gets the upper hand, and she's like, look, if you leave, then we're good. And he doesn't, and he charges at her, and she ends up in self-defense killing him. Well, he turns out to be related to the mob, and the mob doesn't really like when you do things like that. So they showed her that they weren't happy with her, and may try to do something to her by sending her a finger, like you do. So she's like, okay, I'm out of here. She was in Seattle. She goes to Hawaii, which was amazing. She grew up in Hawaii, and her mother still lives there. And so she is in Hawaii, and in the first book, she won a bunch of money by solving a murder. Well, now she's kind of got some cash under her belt. She's still working at this ice cream shop, and her best friend are going to move in together so she can get out of her mother's house because her mother is very meddling and very inappropriate sometimes. Funny, but inappropriate. Okay, so this doesn't really have anything to do with plot. I just want to mention it. So this guy tries to rob the ice cream shop, and he's clearly high, and he's or drunk, or one of those two, or maybe both. I don't remember. And he's clearly not got a weapon, even though he's kind of like saying he's got a weapon, or what did he, I think it was a butter knife or something like really absurd. And so, she basically, puts an ice cream bucket on his head and, squashes the robbery. I thought it was hysterical. People are like, oh my gosh, you could have been hurt. She's like, he had a butter knife and he was drunk. I don't think so. It was just really, really funny. Okay, so back to the plot. Her notoriety from solving the first murder on the islands led, so what happened is a young girl ends up dead, and the family, who is very affluent, seeks her out and was like, I will pay you to find my daughter's, killer, what happened to her, that sort of thing. Of course, we have the cop that doesn't want her to interfere. There's some other stuff going on with new neighbors that is absolutely hysterical. This book is another laugh out loud funny. I can't wait to continue. Next up, I read the classic diner number 2, A Deadly Beef, right here. This is by Jessica Beck. And this one, I love this diner. I give this 4 cups of coffee. It's the Charming Moose Diner. This features Victoria and her grandfather, Moose. And they're always teaming up. And in this one, a local produce person who was supplying the diner with produce and some other like local establishments and like grocery store and stuff like that, his produce had really fallen to being not good quality. And he ends up dead. And so Victoria and Moose are trying to figure it out. The one thing I will say about this is that the relationships with Victoria and her husband and Moose and his wife, which is Victoria's grandmother, are really over the top cheesy. Like sometimes they're just too much. I don't know. It's a little much. That's the only thing I'll say about it. Otherwise, I absolutely love, this is one of my favorite diner series. Next up, I read number 5 in the Holiday Junction Cozy Mystery series. It's on my sass list, so I am getting through it. Chocolate Bunny Betrayal. Gonna put it right here. This is, of course, by Tanya Kappas. So in this one, it's obviously Easter, and our town, Holiday Junction, is going to have the Hip Hop Hooray Festival. I love how festive this town is. Of course, it's all about holidays. So, this would be my thing, of course. I absolutely love this. I wish every small town did this. I really do. I really, really do. Okay, so they're going to have the Hip Hop Easter Festival. And they have lots of bunnies, but they have one head bunny. Well, one of the bunnies ends up dead, and they were maybe a shoe-in for the head bunny, and the person who usually gets the head bunny position is now suspect number, I don't know if he's uno, but he's suspect high up on the list. And Violet's going to figure out what's going on. It might be that person, it might be they have a chocolate bunny contest, and it might be one of the bake-off people. There's so many suspects. It was just a lot of fun. It's spring, so it was just such a fun festive book. I really, really enjoyed it. 4 cups of coffee. Next up, I just want to say I was sent this book by Kensington Publishing. I'm so thankful. They sent me this and another book, and I think Kensington has some of the best cozies. I absolutely love their cozy selection. This one is Murder Uncorked, right here. This is the first book in the C.C. Barton Cozy Mystery series by Maddie Day. I really enjoy Maddie Day. Unfortunately, this wasn't the series for me. This is a wine series. It takes place in California. It was just a personal thing with some of the elements of the cozy I didn't really want in my cozy. That's all. So if you are, into wine, if you are, like California cozies, which is a great place, check it out. Maddie Day is a fantastic author. Next up is 4 Parties and a Funeral. This is the 4th book in the Catering Hall series. Y'all, this was my favorite. And number 2 was one of my favorites of last year. This was I think it was my favorite because I just loved the plot of this one. Okay, so you know how this series has a little bit of a mob undertone, which I love. If you're not into that, you're not going to enjoy specifically this book for sure, because Mia is doing the catering for this reality show that's coming to town to shoot. The reality show is called The Dons of Ditmars Boulevard. And so it's all these mob young guys and what were they calling the women? And I didn't know that they called the women. What were they calling them? I can't think of the name. It's something like Don, but the female version, but it wasn't like Donna or something like that. And I did not know that I don't know if that's true. I don't know what they were calling them. But anyways, so, and then they made a reality show. So it'd be like, I don't know, watching The Real Housewives, but they were all mafia people or something like that, or mob people. I absolutely loved it. Well, one of the, was he a producer? I think he was a producer, ends up dead. He was not very nice. His ex-wife and him still work together. They were still really good friends. The ex-wife starts dating one of the Dons, who is one of the main suspects. Well, he ends up dead. Mia's going to try to figure out what's going on. 5 huge cups of coffee are going on. I didn't mean to say going on. Absolutely loved it. I loved it. I can't recommend this one enough. It was so good. Next up, I read the Hamptons Murder Cozy Mystery Series number 2, Death on Lily Pond Lane. This is also on my SAS list. This is by Carrie Doyle. I gave this 3.5 cups of coffee. So in this one, Antonia is, it's springtime. So the main season is done, and Antonia goes and checks on homes for people who are not at the Hamptons at this time that own homes. She goes and checks on them. She goes and waters plants, that sort of thing. Well, there was a house that was rented out, and she finds the person who was renting dead. And he was in a part of the house he wasn't supposed to be in because he was supposed to be staying in another part of the house. There was just a lot of weird things. And Antonia feels that she has to get involved. And that's where this all takes off. Really, really enjoyed it. Hamptons is such a fun location for a cozy. Very unique. I really enjoyed it. Next up, I read the first book in the Cat Latimer series, which was on my 24 series to start in 2024. A Story to Kill, right here. This is by Lynn Cahoon. I love Lynn Cahoon. I gave this 4 cups of coffee. I really enjoyed it. So our main character is Kat. She's a former English professor, and this takes place in Colorado, and she is going to open up a writer's retreat. So her ex-husband, who maybe cheated on her, maybe didn't. There's some mystery going on with all about her ex-husband that I feel like is going to be overarching throughout the series, which I'm very intrigued by. Well, in this one, she's having her first ever writer's retreat. That her husband left her this bed and breakfast. Her ex-husband left her this bed and breakfast. And so she's still kind of keeping it as a bed and breakfast, but it's specifically going to be used as a writer's retreat. So at her first writer's retreat, this best-selling author is part of the group. And she's like, I thought this would be, I didn't expect to have somebody so big named, that sort of thing. But she's thrilled. And then she finds him dead. Yeah. And there are lots of twists and turns. I really, really can't wait to read number 2. I gave it 4 cups of coffee. Next up, I read Mexico, Margaritas, and Murder. This is the first book in the Sally and Pearl Adventure Club Cozy Mystery Series by Wendy Day. This is one of my most anticipated reads for 24 new series to start in 2024. The tagline is Golden Girls meets Thelma Louise. I gave this 3 cups of coffee. I don't know if it was me expecting too much. It could be because, like I said, it was one of my most anticipated. 3 stars is still a great read. I'm definitely going to continue. So it's not as if I didn't enjoy it. I did. But I thought this would be like a home run. I don't know if that's what you got from that. But that's what I meant. Like home run, knocked out of the park. 3 cups, good. Again, great solid read. I will definitely continue. I just thought I would enjoy it more. Okay, so in this one, Sally just lost her husband, and her husband, we find out, wasn't very nice. So she wasn't real torn up. I mean, you know, obviously I don't think she wished death upon him or anything like that, but he seemed to be pretty verbally abusive. Well, her best friend, Pearl, decides she needs a trip to Mexico, and the two together were really quite funny. That is the last cozy that I read of the month. Time for my favorite cozy. My favorite cozy of this month was the catering hall. I can't remember the name of it. Of course I can't find it. 4 Parties and a Funeral. This is by Maria DeMarco, who is Ellen Byron, who I absolutely love. I really want to know what your favorite cozy of the month was for January. Holy moly. If you made it this far, leave me a peach. I don't know why. It just came to mind. A peach. All right, guys. Give me a big thumbs up for this video. And until next time, may all your future reads be 5 stars. Bye, everybody.